This is part 2, an excerpt from the 2008 FSI conference presentation, Teaching Clients About Triangles in Psychotherapy, presented by myself, Jenny Brown. That the most important thing that a therapist or a coach can do is work on their own differentiation of self, which in a sense does mean that the therapist is teaching through role modeling a way of being. And this is the concept of differentiation, a very easily misunderstood concept, as we heard yesterday, that tricky distinction between individuating, a Jungian term, and Bowen's concept of differentiation, where the key to that is being able to integrate your thinking system and your emotional system, your feeling system, while being in contact with significant others in the presence of the anxious force of their emotional field. I think that the first step to teaching about any emotional system for a client is working on and demonstrating your ability to not get caught up in the triangle invitations, in the reactivity in the room. Can you help people step out of triangles if, as a therapist, you get drawn into side-taking in the clinical session? It's a good question to ask, isn't it? I don't think it's possible, from my experience, not to get drawn into side-taking. The key for me is that I can recognize when it happens and monitor myself and pull myself out of that process. What do our clients bring into every clinical session with us? There is a predictability to this, which is what for me is so useful about Bowen's 8 concepts, is I just say over and over again, this was predictable, entirely predictable, what happens in a relationship that is anxious, a relationship system that is anxious. And with these predictable family patterns, the greatest challenge is to stay out of the triangles in the therapy room, because every client brings their agenda. And what is the typical agenda that people bring to their counselling sessions? I wonder what's going on in your mind. What are you thinking of? What agendas are predictable? The change and the blame agenda. In pretty much every session, you've got the challenge of people coming along wanting to change another, to fix the other, or blame another. And what does that invite you into as a therapist? If you move on board with either one of those invitations, where are you in a triangle? And of course, we know that behind most futile arguments is the issue of trying to convince the other that you are right and they are wrong. And if you've got a third party sitting there as a witness to that, think about the emotional energy, not even consciously, that goes into convincing you to take one side. And I think for the conflictual couples that are managing their anxiety predominantly in the conflictual cocoon of the marital relationship, it may take many, many sessions before the clients reduce their effort to get you to take their side. And you just have to hang in there, session after session, sometimes over a period of months, is my experience.